told that time will heal all our wounds and our sorrows too. No more clouds, no more rain. I need sun to ease my pain. Before this night is over, I will guide you home. All this time you thought we'd never pay the price. In the game of love, you have to roll the dice. My heart got 7 years to life. 7 years to life. All this time you thought we'd never pay the price.
Paula, don't stop writing. Keep writing. Never stop writing if you're in the zone. Come on. Come on. You can always watch this later or skip a week. It's okay. Okay, 40 degrees, Marty, in Florida. That has to feel like a blizzard, right? A full-on like winter storm. I did see this very funny piece about Florida where someone was saying in the winter in Florida, if you're in the shade, it's 40 degrees and you're wearing turtlenecks. And then if you're in the sun, it's like 70 and you're drenched with sweat. And then Nancy Grace, 12 inches of snow in 2 days that's a lot. It's so interesting because I think we were telling you, we all had so much snow here. And then for the last few days, it's been like 60 and sunny. The other day, oh, I'm supposed to ask, we have a new mic. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? The other day, we're sitting outside, like drinking coffee at our favorite coffee shop in Ashland in the sun with sunglasses on, sweating like we had to move out of the sun. So yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those. The scarf, Anna Louise, it's foxes. Does anyone remember the song, What Does the Fox Say? Sky Guy, our kiddo, when he was in elementary school, loved that song so much. So every time I wear my fox scarf, I think of that song. It does feel like a blizzard, I bet, in Florida. Burr, 40. 40? Oh my gosh, it was 35 in Minnesota. Yeah, meanwhile, like I could be having, a nice glass of cold water outside. Okay. Oh, it sounds like it's freezing a little bit. That might just be something glitchy on Facebook. Yeah. But the sound is okay. Yeah. Sometimes that happens with Facebook. I don't know.
I'm streaming it and I'm watching it on Facebook and it's been fine so far. So it's like too many internet connections.
Kelly, you got 20 inches of snow. We did send it your way. I apologize for that. Although I do love snow. For a short amount of time, though. That's the nice thing when you have it for just like a chunk of time and then it melts and goes away. I saw that Leavenworth, where the Sloane Krause Mysteries are set, got 4 feet of snow in like 2 days. And all of the passes that lead into Leavenworth were shut down. So it's like the perfect locked room mystery. And you know that I'm going to use that at some point. Okay, so tonight we're going to do a quick recap for anyone who missed. Last week we did a brainstorming session together again for This Time It's Murder. So I'm going to recap all of the winning results and we're going to chat just briefly about what comes next. And then I'm going to get into my reading stack. And we'll talk about all the books that I am loving and what you're reading and all that good stuff. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk This Time It's Murder. Ooh, the results. Here we go. All right, so the first thing that we had to decide with this was the setting. And you all were very kind and so creative. I mean, I kid you not, after our session last Tuesday, I couldn't sleep all night. I was literally like, oh, I'm buzzing after all those great ideas. We are too clever as a group. We really are. Okay, so the result for the setting is, wait for it. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no, dusk. That's the wrong thing, right? That's the time.
Well, oh.
Okay, the time. The time is dusk. The tech guy's like, wait, you're looking at me like, what? What's your problem?
Yeah.
Murder. I know. Isn't it funny, Mary, how quickly you can come up with like so many great ideas in terms of murder? Okay, so this is actually the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. The time of day is going to be dusk, which is good because that's going to be spooky and allow for, like...
There.
I don't even have to go into the next one. I was still talking about dusk, but that's all good. Okay, so the setting is going to be the library, which I'm very excited about because I am a library lover myself. I know we have so many librarians in the group. Anna Louise, I'm looking at you. And then it will be dusky. So dusky at the library feels like chef's kiss in terms of setting and time. It is, right, Chris? A library is perfect. Okay, so we know that. Now we're going to move on to...
What you're doing.
What I'm doing. Okay,
Yeah.
What's Ellie doing?
Right.
What is Ellie doing at the time? Well, because it's a library.
Hopefully this one doesn't say dusk too.
I'm going to be returning library books. And this is a true story that I have multiple times, well, not multiple, only one time recently, but I have had to do like a library walk of shame where I have returned a library book once that was dropped in the tub and had expanded. I, of course, bought that book, as you do, from the library. So I think... we might have to play something like that up that perhaps, something's happened to my library book. So I'm returning it at dusk to try to be, incognito so that my librarian friends aren't like, what have you done to our book? You've murdered a book. What? Okay. Then next up we have... What unexpected sight do I stumble upon? There has to be an unexpected sight that makes me assume, like I do, that it's murder. And that is going to be the tech guy. We're going to get the tech guy involved. He's going to see something in the shot. So he must be filming me returning my library book, and we'll have to come up with something clever for that. I'm guessing that it's because, he wants proof that I'm actually going to return it. And we'll see from there. Yeah, I'm sneaky on my return. Totally, Lillian. I think I'm going to have like some sort of hat on. But then, of course, the tech guy is going to be like, wait, he's reviewing the film and he sees something very sketchy going on. Okay. Then after that, we are going to talk about, or we're going to go through clues. Is that right?
Is this like what Sherry actually asked a great question, like why am I filming?
Yeah, I think maybe you're filming because I'm documenting it for some reason. Yeah, maybe I'm going to share
returning a library book late again.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Okay, so that will be a surprise. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so up next.
Okay, up next, we talked through so many great clues, we broke them down into a few sections. So these are the top three, the first and then the second. He wants proof of my walk of shame. Totally, he does. But I think it's going to be like, yeah, you dropped a library book in the tub. How dare you? Lenny, you keep a notebook of true library encounters. Oh my gosh, so many of them would make great cozy demises. I love that. Okay, I might have to reach out to you for some background help on this. Susan, I do feel like I'm sneaking the book back into the Dropbox. I feel like there's a sneaky element to my book return. Because I kid you not, when I had to return the library book that I took in the tub with me, which I should not have, obviously, because we also have established the fact that I'm a klutz. When I took the book back, my cheeks are bright red because I know all of the librarians and the library staff and everything. So it is mortifying to go in as an author and someone who loves books and be like, I think I'm buying this one. So sorry. So yes, there's got to be something about that that we can work into it. Melissa, I know.
It'll all make sense at the end.
It will all make sense at the end. I'm so sorry.
Or maybe not.
I apologize to all the librarians out there. Okay, so then in terms of clues, we have, these are the first three. A photo with a face that's halfway missing. Brilliant. Okay. Or maybe it's like marked out. A lost child who only speaks French, which is going to be great.
It's going to be fun.
I know. Okay. Then we have a hotel key that was dropped into a fish tank. So the library or something is going to have a fish tank. We're going to have to find that. Joseph, did they give you dirty looks? No, they were so gracious. They should have given me dirty looks. I felt like I deserved all of their wrath, but no, of course not. They were super sweet about it, and they were like, "Don't worry," but of course you're buying it. Which I came in saying, obviously I'm buying this book. It was a hardcover too, which is the worst because it really puffed up. It was like, twice its size. Okay, and then clues round 2 are going to be a journal entry that ends halfway through a sentence. I love that. What else have we got? A lipstick message on a bathroom mirror. Also brilliant. Like, how many of us have not wanted to do that? And then last but not least, a mysterious person lurking at every corner. So great.
Definitely happens all the time in Ashland.
100% of the time in Ashland. Do I speak French, Melmac? Parlez-vous français? Un petit. I took French all through college, and I have nothing to show for it, really. Just a terrible accent and some phrases that are like, like how do you find the bathroom or whatever. But this should be good fodder for our mystery because I will have to fumble my way through the French for sure. Okay, and then lastly, the bonus. The tech guy is loving this. If we have any bonus characters, it's going to be the tech guy as a detective. So I love the fact that the tech guy is initially going to be the director of photography. He's going to be filming, and then he also is going to appear later on the scene as a detective. How do you feel about that?
I'd say I get a fake mustache, but I already have one. So.
Yeah, exactly. You could take the non-fake out. Oh, yeah, Sabina, you can help with the French. Okay, good. I've got some lifelines. This is like, do you remember the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Yeah, I'm going to call out my librarians, my beautiful French speakers. And there's a lady there who dances on various corners around town. Paula, please put that in the book. That's so great. Lately, when we've been out walking, I've seen all these signs around Ashland for the Wizard, where I'm like, okay, Wizard, I see you. All right, so the one thing, Amy, I can't either. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. So the one big question that I want to talk about tonight briefly, and then we'll get to books, I promise, is how everyone feels about whether or not you want this to be a surprise in terms of the reveal. So there are 2 directions we can take with this. And tell me here in the comments, and then I'll probably put a poll up in the group too, just so, we can hash it out, which is that in the last few times when we co-wrote, we would brainstorm like this. I would go write pages, share them. There would be like a big dun, 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 of course. And then the wrap up would be a total surprise, right? You wouldn't know what's coming. So my question is, do you want to know what's coming? Or in the group, would you like to brainstorm how we're going to work in things like a fish tank and, the tech guy as the photographer? That's my main question about that. Surprise.
I already have that piece all
Oh, you have that all worked out.
Worked it out.
Oh, you already worked it out in your head just now?
Just now.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
It's going to be epic.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be epic. Okay. Oh, he could have a mustache like Hercule. Yeah.
Everybody wants a surprise.
You want a surprise, a twist. Okay. All right. That seems like it's a slam dunk in terms of a surprise, but I still will put it out to the group tomorrow just to confirm. But you're going to make me work for this. I see. You come up with these brilliant ideas, and then I'm going to have to work with an epic surprise, Patty. Oh, the pressure is on. Oh, dear. I love it. Okay. All right. Well, I can't wait because these suggestions are just too much goodness to work with. All right, on that segue, let's talk about too much goodness when it comes to reading. I cannot wait to share my TBR stack. It's a new year. I know we're only a couple weeks into January, but I've already finished a book. I've started on a new one, and I know you all put me to shame as far as reading goes. But I'm super excited about what I've read and what's to come in my reading pile. I want to know what you're reading. I want to talk through. There are 2 books in this stack that have been out for a little while that have come highly recommended by friends. And sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you, like I'll see things, I'll know of a book and I'll want to read it. And then my TBR stack is always huge. I constantly am like trying to make room on my shelves for what I have to read. So I'll lose sight of it. So the 2 last books that I'm going to share have been out for a couple years, but they have come so highly recommended. And I have had multiple friends who've been like, no, you have to read them. So I put these 2 particular books on my Christmas list this year, and the tech guy got them for me. And then the first... I thought
Santa brought those.
Santa brought those for sure. Santa did. The first 3 books are all books that have yet to release. So I have advanced reader copies of all 3 of these. So I'm excited to share a little tidbit of that with you because they're all books that are going to be out in the next few weeks. All right. So without further ado, let's start with book number 1. Look at this gem. Jane and the Year Without Summer. If you are a Jane Austen fan and you have not read Stephanie Barron's series, you need to go to the library, go to your bookstore, like whatever you do, and grab this series. It's so great. I am a huge Jane Austen fan. And I think the one thing that Stephanie does phenomenally well with this series is she fully captures the historical piece. You feel like you're reading a Jane Austen novel. You sort of forget that it's a mystery until, a body shows up. And then, of course, Jane is solving the crime herself, which, maybe for Austen purists, that would feel wrong. But for me, I also feel like that would probably be pretty on point for her. She was a writer. She was definitely an observer. She watched people. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that Jane would have potentially solved a crime. I believe, I should look, I think this is book 14 in the series, and this comes out next month. So if you haven't read this series and you love Jane Austen and you love mysteries, then I would recommend you go back and start with one of the earlier books just because I'm a fan of reading a series in order. However, like other books, if you haven't read them all, this works as a standalone. Now, what was particularly interesting about this book is it takes place in 1816, which is the year that Jane Austen actually died. And she's going to try to drink from these healing waters. And she's kind of sleuthing out what's happening to her, which is still, debated amongst Austen scholars to this day. Like, was it arsenic poisoning? Did she have lupus? Did she have rheumatoid arthritis, cancer? I mean, there are all these theories that have floated out around there. So, you're really seeing that. So I think this piece of the story, it was also kind of sad because you feel her coming to terms with her own mortality throughout it. But it's also still just a light and beautiful romp in terms of that. Who has it? Anna Louise. You love ARCs. I know. And you have this book. Oh, it's so great. What is super fascinating to me, and of course, I'm not going to give away any spoilers about the mystery or the rest of the story, but the title, A Year Without Summer, is because the book is set in 1816. There was a massive volcanic eruption that sent all of North America, basically, and Europe into this bleak, bleak summer. So crops died off. There was famine and starvation, just super cold, miserable weather. And they called it the Year Without Summer. Summer had kind of started in June, and then the ash cloud and all of the debris kind of began circling the globe, and then the crops died off. And this is not an event that I recall reading or knowing about in history. So I'm curious if you all know about it, because I was asking the tech guy. I had coffee with a friend yesterday. I was like, did you ever hear about this? I had never heard of the Year Without Summer, but it was really interesting because I just wrapped up this read a couple days ago, right after the Tonga volcano erupted. And so it felt very like modern at the same time that I'm reading this historical fiction. So yes, super interesting. Highly recommend, especially if you're a Jane Austen fan. So good. Let's see. Who would have poisoned her? I don't think there wouldn't have been poison involved, Sherry. I think it would have been more that she was treating herself and with things that were laced like with arsenic. I think that's the theory, but don't like do your own research. I know like enough to be dangerous, basically. Beth, you don't remember reading about it? No, I don't either. It's so interesting. Paula, you barely heard about it, but you would think it would have been significant enough. I know. I feel like it's such a crucial, I can't talk tonight, crucial piece of history that I just had no recollection of. And the other thing that I love about this series is that there are editorial notes at the bottom. So, you can see all of the facts about what was really happening. I can't remember the name of the volcano. I should have written it down. It's like Mount Tam something. But it wasn't a volcano that I remember hearing about either. So in any event, that's my historical gem for you. So if you're a Jane Austen fan, if you love mysteries, yes, I think that's right. Sharon, Mount Tambora? Yeah, that seems right. Annette, you've read mysteries with the main character named Jane Austen. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, isn't there, what's the series that's Janie Austen? Someone will know. I know exactly what you're talking about. Lillian, you've never read any Jane Austen? Oh, so good. If you love historical, if you don't, you might not like them, but I think there's a reason that they stand the test of time. They're just classics. Okay. So that's the book that I just read. I now have what I'm currently reading. Are you ready for that? Love and Saffron, a novel of friendship, food, and love. This is by Kim Fay. I am about halfway through this gem of a book. It's not a long read. Oh my gosh, I have to show you this. I forgot. Usually I have bookstore bookmarks in them, but he's going to kill me, but it'll be so fun.
I have nothing to do with this.
Okay,
so I'm on record now.
I was cleaning out, I will hide that part. I was cleaning out our junk drawer, and I found all these, like, I don't know if you remember or if you all have kids in school right now, a lot of stuff has gone digital, but we still had the like pictures, the school pictures. They come in this big envelope, and I would often like stick all the extras together. So I had multiple from multiple years. So I found like an old picture of little Sky Guy, and it was a bookmark. I didn't even know they exist. I didn't know we had ordered them, but I have Sky Guy bookmarks in my book. Like, how adorable is that? Usually I would have beach books, murder by the books, vintage books. I have my collection of all of my like indie bookstore bookmarks, but I actually have my little Sky Guy. Okay, I digress. Love and Saffron. Okay, if you love food writing, which I know a lot of you do because you consume cozies, this is a story of friendship. It's set in the 1960s, and it features these letters written back and forth between a food writer who's living in the Pacific Northwest, so of course that resonates with me, and a young aspiring food writer / wannabe chef living in Los Angeles. So I love that time period of the 1960s, which is kind of a theme tonight. And I'm already like fully captivated. If you have loved books like The Great Kitchens of the Midwest, or what is his other book, The Minnesota Lager Queen, anything that involves food and storytelling, it also reminds me a scotch of Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society because it's all written in letters, but you have such an immediate, deep sense of these characters. And then food, there's so much food because they're sharing recipes back and forth and spices like saffron. It's beautiful. I'm loving it. I believe this one comes out in February as well. It is fiction, Paula. It's fiction. It's beautiful. Love it. Highly recommend it, especially if you're wanting something that's a little bit of a palate cleanser. Like, it has some beautiful depth, but it's still light and it feels great. Okay. Oh, John's on. Laura Levine, thank you, does the Janie Austen series. And you can get those at Murder by the Book. Hey, look at that. I was just talking about Murder by the Book in my bookmarks. I know. Yeah, that was like, we had a mind meld moment there. Joseph, I would gain so much weight just from reading those books. I know it is. It totally is. And like but what I think what's really interesting is she's using all of the food that is around her. So one of the characters, the food writer, is in Puget Sound, like I talked about. And so she's out picking blackberries and mussels and anything that's like on the island. And then her fellow food writer is in LA and she's talking about her fresh grapefruit and lemon trees. So you really get a sense of regional cuisine in this one too. I love it. I think it's going to be a favorite. Okay, moving on to what I'm reading next is Must Love Books by Shauna Robinson. I'm super excited about this one. This one comes out next week. I like to read seasonal or like holiday books at the time that they're happening. So I'm saving this one to read later this week because I feel like it's a perfect rom-com leading up to like Valentine's Day. This time of year feels right for a rom-com. The other thing that I'm excited about this particular one is it features an editor who's been working in publishing and has kind of gotten burnt out. And then the concept is that she has to deal with this best-selling author. So there's lots of obviously bookish love in this one. I will read you just a little bit of the back cover for this. You have this arc too. Anna, we have the same reading taste. Cherry, yeah, it's a rom-com. So good. Okay, so when Nora landed an editorial assistant position at Parsons Press. Oh, the other thing that I have to say about this that I love just from like setting a book up is that my new standalone Lost Coast is all about an editor who's like following her dream, or so she thinks, of working in big publishing. Okay. It was her first step toward the dream job, but after 5 years of lunch orders, finicky authors, and per my last emails, Nora has come to one grand conclusion. Dream jobs do not exist. With her life spiraling and Parsons' staff shrinking, Nora gets hit with even worse news. Parsons is cutting her already unlivable salary. Unable to afford her rent, Nora decides to moonlight for a rival publisher. Oh no, and maybe poach some of Parsons' authors along the way. But when Andrew Santos, a best-selling Parsons author no one can afford to lose, is thrown into the mix, Nora has to decide where her loyalties lie. Her new dream job, ever optimistic Andrew, or herself and her future. How fun does that sound? I cannot wait. So yes, this is a rom-com. This is going to be, I think, a perfect light read going into the end of the month. And like I said, it comes out next week. Hi, Jamie. You're late to the party. It's okay. You can always be late to the party. The party never stops. Party never stops. We're always here. Paula, it's impossible for me not to like books about books. That is like my sweet spot. Per my last email. I know, Jamie, I shared a thing a few weeks ago about all of the phrases that, you know, we should maybe retire for a little while. And I think that's one of them. Per my last email. No. Beach Bum, you're with me with trying to read seasonally. I know sometimes it doesn't happen for me either. I'm going to read an arc soon that's a Christmas arc, and I'm totally down with that too. I'll get back in the holiday spirit. It's fine. Michelle, you're up late. A 3- and 5-year-old not wanting to go to bed. They need a good bedtime story. What What should we do? Okay. Next up, so all three of these gems are soon to be released. These are all arcs that I'm reading. So look for all of these in the next few weeks. This releases next week, and then the other two or 3 weeks after. And then my final two books that are on my TBR stack are, are books that have already come out, like I said, and that for whatever reason just didn't wind their way onto my list. But the first one, my best friend has been telling me forever to read this one. So I put it on my book list, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm assuming that some of you may have already read this one because it was published a couple years ago. So I'm curious to hear whether or not you've read it and you've enjoyed it. It is a coming of age story, again, set in the 1960s. So there's kind of this like 60s theme going on, which is a decade that I haven't really spent a lot of reading time in. I tend to sway like Jane Austen, Elizabethan period. I love historical set, turn of the century, like early 1900s, post-war. So I'm excited to kind of dive into the 60s because it hasn't been my go-to decade. So I will read you the back cover of this one. Everyone has said that, Jamie. Okay, maybe I'm gonna read it first and then I'll do the audio. For sure. Yeah, when I'm out running, I could do the audio of it. I love it. Okay, so Daisy is coming of age in LA in the late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars, and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Her voice is getting noticed, and she has the kind of heedless beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is The Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dune. On the eve of their first tour, his girlfriend, Camilla, finds out she's pregnant. And with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. Daisy and Billy cross paths when a producer realizes that the key to their supercharged success is putting the two of them together. What happens next will become the stuff of legend. So, not a mystery, definitely kind of like a roadie band experience. It sounds amazing. Oh, see, now I've got to beach books. It sounds amazing. Everyone who I know who has read this has just absolutely raved about it. And like Jamie's saying, I've heard the audio is fantastic too. So I'm excited. John, you haven't read that other, but her book. Yeah, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Yes, I loved that book too. Amazing. That's another one you should go get your hands on and add to your stack. Diane, you liked audio version better. Isn't that interesting? Like sometimes I can love an audio and, not maybe fall as in love with a book. And then sometimes the reverse is true. Like I'm sure it makes so much difference in terms of who the narrator is and all of that. So love it. Okay. Lillian, do I read more than one book at a time? Not usually. Rarely. Sometimes, every once in a while, I will be reading like a nonfiction and a fiction, but I don't have enough headspace to do that. I know. Do any of you? Like, I have friends who do that, but I usually can't. The other caveat might be if I had like a collection of short stories that I was like dipping into maybe, but no, I would say 99% of the time I read a book all the way through, finish it, and then start another. We've talked about this before, but like I have also gotten to a point in my life where I don't feel guilty if I don't finish a book too. If I give a book, 50, sometimes 75, I've had a few books, and I do think this has been a product of the pandemic, which I've talked about before. I've had a few books that I've gotten really far into, even like 150, 200 pages, and I've given up on them, not because of the book, definitely because of the headspace that I have been in, which I think sometimes then is why maybe an audio is easier because, I don't know, like it's a fascinating time to be a reader for sure. But I used to feel really guilty. I used to slog through things that just weren't resonating with me. And now I think the gift of being a writer and having so much to write is I have to be super protective of my reading time too. So if I am not jonesing with a book, I let it go. And that's not usually a reflection of the book either. Usually it's a reflection of me. And I think I've said this a zillion times. Sometimes I'll have a book that I couldn't get into, and then a year or two later, I'll go back and read and adore it. So sometimes it's just the headspace we're in. But I want to say, from the writing side of things, if you're reading a book, if you're reading one of my books and you're not feeling it, like, put it aside. Don't worry. Like, do not make reading a stressful event. I think reading should be our escape, our self-care, which doesn't mean that we can't read things that aren't hard, but yeah, that's my moment. Michelle, it's been that way for you too. Yeah, I know. I think we're still living through a pandemic, right? So we might not have the headspace that we used to have. Yeah. I used to be able to do it you used to be able to do a couple at a time, not anymore. Yeah, I think when you're writing too, there's headspace that you're taking up that's different. Reading is really a break for me. When I'm reading, I'm fully in that world. So that's nice for my writing because I'm not thinking about writing. But if a book isn't holding my attention, then no, not so much. Drop it like it's hot. That's right, Jamie. I love it. So good. Okay, Joseph, you can read a biography and listen to a murder mystery, but I can't do two mysteries at the same time. Definitely. And I think that's one of the reasons that, like, I don't tend to read cozies. I might read something that's darker, like I'm going to talk about next, when I'm writing, when I'm like fully in a book. I can read things that are different, but that makes sense to me for sure. Okay, and then last but not least, this is an author who I have loved her other stuff. This book has been out for a little while, and it's another one that I have not gotten to yet, but I'm very excited. The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. If you haven't read her work, whew, amazing, brilliant. Her storytelling is just top notch. She always captivates me. This theme is kind of in line. And it's funny because I don't even know if I set out intentionally to kind of have these parallel themes with the 1960s, with some bookish books. What's that? Oh, John. Okay, yay. Okay, I can't wait. Maybe I'm going to have to switch spot. No, but they both sound so good. It's okay. I'll get to them when I have time. So this is also kind of a book about books with a murder involved. So let me read you the back cover. Claire Cassidy, a high school teacher specializing in Gothic writer R.M. Holland, is no stranger to murder. But when one of Claire's colleagues is found dead, with a line from Holland's iconic story, The Stranger Left by Her Body, this feels like what we were doing with our This Time It's Murder plot, right? Claire is horrified to see her life collide with her favorite literature. Okay, come on. Are you not hooked just by that? The police suspect that the killer is someone Claire knows. Unsure whom to trust, she turns to her diary, her only outlet for suspicions. Lenny, I'm looking at you. This is kind of like your library diary, I have a feeling. And fears. Then one day she notices something odd. Writing that isn't hers, left on the page. Okay, that line gives me goosebumps. Writing on the page that isn't hers, left on the page of an old diary. Hello, Claire. You don't know me. Claire becomes more certain than ever. The stranger has come to terrifying life. But the ending, can it be rewritten in time? Whew.
Is it Tom Riddle?
It's Tom Riddle. It's definitely Tom Riddle. Totally. I think it's got some Gothic vibes to it. This is not probably going to be cozy. So, if you're feeling like you don't want something that's slightly darker, this one might not be for you, but I'm super excited. Oh, here's John. Okay. It's okay because John read it. It's a great mix of procedural, a Gothic, and a bibliomystery. It's got something for every reader in it. Yay. Okay. Yay. I'm super excited for this one. I can't wait. Totally, Lenny. Isn't it Harry Potter vibes? We all need to know more. We need to know more. I cannot wait for this one. Who's the author again? This is Ellie Griffiths. Paula, I think you would love her writing. She's written a bunch of other stuff. She has a whole Ruth Galloway series. She's got the Magic Men mysteries. Really good stuff. Highly recommend.
All right. So I'm glad people got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Totally. Where is a Basilic's fang when you need one? Stab the diary. Come on. Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. So that's my stack. I've got a good mix of stuff. I know I'm sorry to be adding to your Goodreads list, but I'm not, because we all need more books. And it might be that one of these doesn't strike your fancy at this particular moment, and a few months from now you'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm really in the mood for something gothic. And then you'll go, I know what book that is. Or I'm just feeling something foodish and warm and cozy, and that's going to be Love and Saffron. So there you have it. I could talk books all day long, all night long, forever. How quickly do I read a book? I read pretty quickly. I'm a fast reader, which is a blessing and a curse, because I tend to read fast and not remember details later on. Like, I'll remember the big picture, and especially if I've loved a book, then I'll remember a lot more about it. But even just like, with Jane Austen, where I was like, I should remember the name of the volcano, but I didn't really care. I was just so interested in like the 1816 Year Without Summer and the famine that I didn't know about. I will often, if I'm reading an historical, I will go do research after. Like, I spent probably 4 hours that I should have been writing, looking up A Year Without Summer, because I had no idea. But I tend not to. Yeah, Marcy, I think it is supposed to support your ceiling. I'm going to share a picture of a library that I found the other day. They were talking about, please don't bring in the same copy of used books. But they had made like this whole throne out of, I can't remember, I think it was one of the 50 Shades of Grey books. But I was thinking, like, it would be fun to try to see if I could fill my entire office, which I think I could, floor to ceiling, of a combination probably of my TBR stack and stuff that I've read recently. Anyway, so I tend to be a consumer. Like I said, when I'm in a story, I'm usually in it, and I'm not good about wanting to let that go. So I will often, like, I guarantee you, I started this last night, I will finish it tonight for sure, unless I fall asleep with it on my face. That's the only only time I don't. So I tend to read fast, but I don't always tend to retain lots of like details about a book, which is not great. Susan has a recommendation. I do, Jennifer. I do read YA. I haven't been in a YA kick lately, but I would love some recs. So send them my way. I tend to be a mood reader, so I'll follow like how I'm feeling at the moment. Wait, would you scroll up, because Susan has some Amy Persing's Cape Cod Foodie Mysteries is different. Ooh, okay, lots of good. The Magical Bookshop. Excellent. The tech, I can't fit that on the screen, but go back and look if you're Susan. I know. Hi, Susan. But Susan's got some recs, so I love it. That's so great. Anna, sending you love. We'll see you soon. The museum across the street from Ford's Theater has a multi-story stack of books about Abraham Lincoln. Oh, how cool. See, I'm going to have to go Google that now. Thanks, Joseph. I love it. Do I have a favorite place for reading? It kind of depends on the season again. I love to read in bed at night. I always read to fall asleep. So that's like my go-to daily place. If it's the weekend, I would probably read on the couch. In the summer, I like to read outside on our deck. But I'm not actually, I should say, I'm not good about reading in public. I don't usually read with any music or any other distraction going on. It's kind of like writing for me. I can't go write at a coffee shop or a pub. I'm too observant. I want to watch everything else that's going on. The same is true for reading. So I tend to read, like, reading is more solo for me, I would say, for sure. Lenny's reading, I'm loving a YA right now, Nevermore series. I've heard of that series by Jessica Townsend. Okay, I'm writing that one down. I mean, I guess I could come back and look at the live, but I'm excited because I've seen that around, but I have not read those. So thank you for that one. We could always, as this group, just swap book recommendations all day long. Do you ever see Georgie? Did you ever Google? I'm like, Georgie, yeah. I can't see on that small screen. Did you ever Google something while you're reading it? All the time, Patty. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes, a lot of times with historicals too, I'll look up a word that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, especially, I have a feeling with Daisy and the Six too, like, cause that 60s time period, I have a feeling that, I'll be in that. I don't like reading scary books in bed because I'll be up all night. Sherry, yes, that's the tech guy.
Don't read The Historian.
Oh my gosh.
That is the scariest book ever written. Yeah.
And you read that book like what, 20 years ago? Yeah. Oh, it's too much. I'm always scared of books as well too, Sabina. I know. So maybe I don't think anything here in this stack is going to keep you up at night. I really don't. Oh, you're scared to get books too wet. Yes, in the tub. I do love to read in the tub. But I've learned my lesson. I only read books that I have purchased or, received as a gift or something.
It's The Historian.
Oh, The Historian. Yeah. My mom recommended it to you. My mom was a prolific reader. She's the one who I attribute my love to reading to. And she would read a lot of Dorothy L. Sayers and Mary Higgins Clark, P.D. James, and then cozies and everything. But she read some really dark stuff that I never read. Who wrote it?
Elizabeth Kostova, Kostova.
I bet Jamie would love it. It's 20 years old, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it came out in 2005. Yeah.
Diane, I could not finish The Historian because it kept you up at night. Yeah. The tech guy, I remember you reading it and then you'd be like, no, I can't read anymore. But then you'd get right back into it.
Yeah.
Oh,
that hit home for me because it was every little noise. I was like, oh, I'm going to die.
That's it. Yeah. We're done. Oh, that's great. You read The Night of the Living Dead in one night a long time ago, Janita. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine. Amy, good suggestions here too. You try to finish a series before starting a new one. That's a good strategy. I have not done that, but that is a good strategy for a series. I like it. Hi, Chase. Good to see you. How are the islands? Hopefully not 40 degrees like Florida, right? All right. Well, I think that wraps up my reading list for the night. I hope that if you try any of these, you enjoy them as much as I do. And always keep your suggestions coming. I'm always happy to add to my TBR. I might not always get to them, but I love adding to my TBR and just knowing. It's kind of like these last two, I've known of them for a couple years, but I'm now they're in my possession. So I'm excited. It's never too late. It's a balmy 82. Chase. Oh, so lucky. Let's all go to Hawaii. What do we say? Who's with me? I know we talk about an Ashland gathering or a Leavenworth, but Hawaii wouldn't be so bad either. All right. So in terms of, let's see, what's next? Next week, we're going to do reader questions. So come at me. I know we had a queue from the last time, so I'll have some of those too. But if you have anything else you want to chat about, or we'll just chat in general, like we do. And then what else? What else have you got for me, Tech Guy?
We got some books out.
We got some books out. That's right. So Bake, Borrow, and Steal book 14 of the Bake Shop Mysteries is out now. You can get your hot little hands on it at your local bookstore or your library, or borrow it from a friend, whatever you need to do. We just put up the 2 short collaborations that we've done. Apologies, it's taken a little while, but we're a 2-person team, so we finally have them up. They're both up just as ebooks. These are not going to be in print because they're just fun short collaborations that we brainstormed together. So A Brunch with Death and Final Draft, you can find them on my website and grab it. They're both I can't even remember. 50 pages, 75 pages.
50 to
yeah. So if you want like a quick little read, a palate cleanser between something else, go download one of those. That's fine. My new standalone, Lost Coast Literary, comes out March 29th. I cannot wait to share this book with you. I have so much to talk about. We're actually heading out for a little Lost Coast adventure, so I'm going to try to just take so many pictures and film and be able to give you a taste of the real place that inspired this book. You can pre-order it now. You can ask your local library to order a copy. Like whatever you do, I would so appreciate help spreading the word on that. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. There is going to be a Lost Coast book box. Yes, Paula, we're working on that now. The tech guy's going to create a whole little themed Get Lost in a Book box for it. So yeah, I can't wait. It's been so fun to see the early reviews trickling in, and hearing that it's resonating with people just makes my day, because like I've talked about, this was it was like starting over for me. I feel like, what's that? It's not a mystery. Nope, it's not a mystery. It's the story of a young editor, Emily Bryant, who inherits her grandmother's Victorian mansion on the Lost Coast. No, it's okay. On the Lost Coast of California. She's just landed her dream job working as an editor, as an editorial assistant in a publishing house in New York. And she gets a call that her grandmother has died and has to go back, this is not a spoiler, and learns that in order to inherit the estate, she has to edit some manuscripts. And then she quickly learns that her editing pen has the power to not just change words, but also to change lives. And it's really, I feel like it's a feel-good, heartwarming story. It has all of the coziness of my writing, but no body. And it's really a love letter to books. There are books within a book in this book. They're editing stories. There's lots of references to some of my favorite books, obviously, that just found their way onto the page. But it's also really a story about family and connection, which I think, like, as much as I would love at some point in time to write something gothic and dark, I just don't think that's who I am as a writer. So if you've enjoyed my other stories, I hope this one comes through. But yeah. Oh, Michelle, thank you so much for pre-ordering. It helps tremendously. So thank you. Yay. All right. And then let's see, after that, is that it for our slides?
There was one question that I thought, this is like, no, because that's
the place you made a video. Oh, no, that's for
another one.
That's for a new mystery series that is going to come out in May, the Beckman Falls. We landed on Beckman Falls, the Beckman Falls mysteries. The first book in that is going to come out in May. And then I'm working on some Sloan stuff too. So it's going to be a fun year for books. I'm excited. All right. Okay. On that note, as always, so great to see you. I love our Tuesdays. They're the best for me. I hope that you found some new recommendations either from me or in the comments. And happy reading. In the meantime, we'll see you back here next Tuesday.